So lately, it's been a journey documenting pretty much every gym session, and I didn't know I would make it this far, and I'm actually having fun with this. So I think when things just flow naturally and it's like, I want to say easy necessarily, because there's always moments where you kind of have self-doubt where like everyone's doing this. This is like, who's gonna want to watch, you know? And obviously comparing to someone big like Sam Sulek, or even seeing other similar people doing the same thing, uh, doesn't matter, right? Again, it's not about comparing yourself to what someone else is doing, but if you actually enjoy doing this and you have a reason behind it or a purpose, which for me is really just holding that accountability and just having the discipline to record, edit, and post. And I'm getting pretty much the hang of it. And now I want to turn this into something like more than a vlog, which, how do you separate yourself from other people that are doing pretty much the same thing that Sam Sulek is doing? Like, really, the reason why Sam Sulek is so big is because it's just, he embodies a character that everyone just vibes with. Like, he just feels like the homie where, like, oh, dude, like, I could just sit down and listen to him all day long, just because he's so like calm, and like you could just tell he's a respectful person. He's not like a very judging, or tries really hard to like put like an act. Because I've seen a lot of like vloggers, or not a lot of vloggers, but just people in general. When you're in front of a camera, you change your persona. Like you like, just like you would change your persona when you're talking to your parents, then if you're hanging out with your friends, like, you change your whole character when you're in different environments. But I think Sam's so like, well, I haven't met Sam in person, but the way that he seems, you could just tell that he's like he's just being him. And that's what's cool about Sam Sulek, right? And I think that's what needs to be paid for most people. So when you're vlogging, for me, I think I'm very comfortable talking in front of a camera, and I don't feel like I switch characters. Like, I feel like this is actually how I always even talk to people. Of course, I'm like, have to like channel that, like, more of a better presenter in front of the camera. And like, there's definitely moments where, like, even before I started this video, I was recording for about 5-10 minutes, and I'm just like, ugh, like messing up, and then like, you know. And sometimes it's not a smooth shot when I'm doing a one take, hit. But then once I kind of get my vocals warmed up, and then my mind starts kind of running, I'll like kind of have an idea of like, okay, what do I want to talk about? So now I'm talking about this, which is, I think, for people who are looking to do something like this, like, don't be afraid to just start. And like, I could see the progression from my first video to what I am now, and I'm starting to get really comfortable in front of the camera. Just like anything, where it's like, if you're new to the gym, you're gonna look like shit. You may not even know how to hit the weights properly, and it's gonna feel super new and awkward. But as you keep working that muscle, which is, talking in front of the camera, you start to get comfortable. And I can kind of see why Sam's able to just like let loose and make you feel like you're talking to a friend. And I think that's what I like. It's like, and then knowing me, I genuinely enjoy talking to people. I would say I'm a extrovert when it comes to social settings. I like to just hear people, what they have to share, and then I love to share. I'll go off on like crazy tangents about almost any topic possible. Um, And then I would actually analyze and watch my videos and see how I am. And I noticed that, yeah, like that's cool. Like I'm actually happy that I am being genuine in front of the camera, where I don't, switch up and act like I'm tough, or like I know everything and listen to me. I know what I'm doing. I got 10 years of experience. Like I'm the be it end all solution for you guys. Like you guys better listen to me. Yeah, no. I could come off of that as that, because I think I have strong opinions on certain topics, but I'm not closed off on them. But and I'll change my mind on anything if you can provide me any, evidence, but more so, not necessarily even evidence, more about just having conviction on what you talk about. And obviously there's like a logical reasoning to why something works or doesn't work. And that's why the gym is very uh, subjective, because I feel there's almost like scientific studies for so many things that whatever you want to find to prove for yourself, like it can technically be true. But I think there definitely is a universal truth to like working out. There's definitely a science behind it. And once you like understand how it works, and you know you want to follow those guidelines, because you can, I don't know if there's any studies that says like, oh, if you like, you'll make more muscle gains by doing many different variations of exercises on one muscle versus sticking to one and building it and making it strong in that one exact movement. But then again, based on the studies that I've read and heard of, is just more of your muscles can't really tell the difference of certain movements. It just responds to how your muscles are pushing the weights. So whether you change it to a chest fly machine, or you change it to a bench press, to whatever, like we can ideally think in our heads like, oh yes, like the higher reps, the cables are gonna kind of sculpt the muscles, which I like pretty much keep that in my mind. That's how I view it. But in reality, it probably is the same. Like whether you hit the chest fly cables or a bench press, like let's just say you converted the same weights and you hit it. Most likely, you may not be able to tell the difference on how your muscle's forming, because your muscle's just going to keep growing and filling out whatever your chest frame gives you. So, yeah. Yeah, that was a random tangent. I went from like the other side to suddenly talking about lifts. Hey, that's how tangents work, I guess. um, yeah, so almost near the lab. I'm about 2 minutes away, I think. I'm feeling a little, I feel a little tired, not gonna lie. I slept later than usual again because I was behind on, I had a lot of chores to do yesterday, and I ended up editing until around like 11:30ish, and then I had to go and journal at night and do my to-do lists. And then yeah, so I probably fell asleep around, give or take, like 12:30ish. So I always use the sleep calculator. Like I need at least 7.5 hours. I can do 6 hours, 7.5 hours of sleep. And so, yeah, I wanted to be well rested. There was no reason for me to wake up early. Again, it's the discipline of getting up at 6 and making it happen, which I did do that consistently for about a month, because I would sleep early on time and not cause problems. But lately I've been a little lenient on that. So I'm definitely catching myself fall back into the pattern of like sleeping a little bit later, which I do not want. So I'm going to make sure that I tackle that early on. But yeah, it's 10:51, and yeah, it's gonna be. This is a lot later session, and it's a leg day, quad focus today. Pretty pumped. I'm glad that I got to sleep in because I woke up around 8:30. Yeah, 8:30 was when I woke up. But I actually woke up naturally at 5:45, and I was like my eyes were just like yeah, I can get up, but it is that little bitch voice, which sometimes you could just like, fuck it, I'm gonna get up. But I could tell my muscles was like, yo, or my body was like, yo, you should rest because your muscles are still trying to regenerate. So now my chest and back is super sore, and it's a great feeling when it's like super sore. And yeah, so we're ready for leg day. Let's get it. Wearing a belt just to keep everything more tight. Ugh. Two more sets. Still breathing hard. Not gonna lie, like my body's like, I don't want to do these. This is terrible. It just requires so much energy, but I'm gonna have to do it anyways. Gosh, so brutal. Today is one of those days where I'm not feeling it. One, it has to do with my disc being a little irritated. It's not like I didn't injure it or anything. It's just you could tell there's a little discomfort that I'm overusing it a little bit, especially in this lunge formation. Um, so it just feels incomplete. I did only 3 sets, but I wanted to do 4, and my legs are not even like tired. Like it could do way more, but the disc is like, nah, be careful, bro. And so I have to listen to that. And so now I'm doing basically like stiff leg with these machines. Usually I do it with barbell, and it feels smooth, but it the way that this assists, it doesn't feel like I'm using so much of my hamstring muscles. So, but like I want to increase it, but I could tell like, hey, don't increase the weight because it's gonna be too much bearing on my disc. So I did 12. It was like a piece of cake. Now I'm just gonna increase it to about 15 to 20 reps and do a more really controlled movement with these. And also, like, I like to always stretch a lot lower, but I don't want to go that low because at a certain point you can mess with the thing here. So yeah, having to be smart with these movements. All right. Just only did 12. I could tell my lower back was starting to feel that fatigue. So, you know, I'm not going to go too crazy heavy and just focus more on the movement. And even though it may not burn, if I could just maintain, I should be okay. I just finished. So I did the lunges, I did the hamstring machines. I'm not really happy with those two lifts. It didn't feel really smooth. Like I could just focus mainly on just pure strength and getting the weights up. It was more of just like going through the motions. So I definitely was not going till failure because of my lower back. So I definitely felt a little down, and my intensity kind of just dropped, and I mentally just started feeling like I don't want to work out. Like, I just feel a little defeated, but that's obviously not going to stop me from continuing my workout. And I just got to have patience that I can't always just go 100% every single session as much as I would love to, which I used to when I mean, most guys in general that are not injured, you're pretty much can always go 100% all times and keep that going. So if you have that ability, always go till failure. But eventually it comes to a point where your body actually gets really tired and it needs some rest. And that's why there's actually deloads, which if you guys know what deloads are, it's pretty much going about like 60 to 75% of your workouts to give your nervous system and your muscles the time to actually heal. Because over time, you pretty much overwork your body and you're not giving it enough rest. So it's always good to restart your body and refresh it. So I just realized that this is my 5th week. So I might just keep it light. I need to mentally remember that it's okay to rest a little bit, especially as I'm older and things aren't as like smooth for me. I think it's okay. There's no rush. There's really no rush, because if I just keep lifting super heavy, I'm just gonna keep having setback after setback. So in hindsight, lifting light and just maintaining is gonna allow me to perform even better and be stronger on my next workouts next week. So patience is the theme for me on week 5, especially for my lower body, for my legs. Upper body, I'm still going pretty hard. Yeah, let's do these leg extensions. I'm gonna go for 4 sets. I'm gonna try to focus more again on sculpting, not on heavy weights, really squeezing and feeling the weights. Let's go. Uh, 10. Oh, oh. 14. So I'm gonna superset ham curls with this so I could finish faster. Five. Uh, 15. 43 kilograms for 15 reps. That'll do. Second set, 65 kilograms. Going for 15. I want to stretch more. Oh yeah, no, it's okay. 5. X. $13. Aish. 15. Right. More of a close grip stance. Right foot placement here. Boom. Two, three, 4. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. Oh yeah. Kind of uses a little bit of the quads on the outside because you're like standing and holding the weights. It's almost like a mini squat. But what I really like about this compared to seated or regular standing calf raises, like the weight's purely just on the lower half of your body because, same with seated as well. But because you're standing and the weights are on the lower half, I could feel you can stretch a lot lower. And the peak, when you raise your foot and squeeze at the top, you really can squeeze at the very top. So I like it. It feels pretty solid. And then as I did increase the weights, it's not bad at all. I could definitely feel that I have to be a little bit more. I have to just be careful when I stretch at the top. I could feel like that little momentum where the weight kicks up on my lower back, and I could feel the load on my disc, but not to a point where it hurts. So just gotta be careful. So that was set 1. Got 3 more sets to do. Last set. It's pretty calm and cool to lift in the rain, but thankfully I'm protected. It's my last set. I'm gonna go inside. 1. 9. Yeah. Wow. 13. Yeah. Oh God. All right, that was 15 and burned out about 2 or 3 more reps, 17, I think. I'm gonna go inside and finish off with one more leg workout. All right, so we're gonna be doing leg press machines. So these have separate, these are technically single leg machines, and then they have a bar, you could put them together so you could use both. I didn't know that. And I just tried hitting these. These are pretty comfortable. I don't feel it in my disc, so. Whew. Oh. 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 15. 11. 3 more. 1. Nice. Ooh-wee. Yeah, those felt pretty good. Controlled. Coming down is way harder. Overall, it was a better session than I expected. well, I actually had no expectations in the first place. I was ready to crush it, but I definitely felt some fatigue, especially in my lower back. And I was saying earlier in the gym, talking about how rest is necessary sometimes, especially when you're injured, knowing that you can't push the same weight, you can't do heavy weights, so you have to go lighter. And I have some frustrations with that because it's, as I mentioned earlier, it's more of like, I can carry the weights with my legs. It doesn't stimulate my legs the way I want it because it's too light. Like I could just rep out 25 to 30 reps where I'm just like, I don't want to do cardio with those weights. I want to be able to hit a solid 8 to 15. But yeah, those lunges in the first workout that I did was very just, first set felt decent, but then I started feeling it in my left side. I'm like, because yeah, there's a feeling that you could just, yeah, it's a little irritating. So kind of brought my morale down, and it kind of had me just second guessing my workouts. Like, I'm not gonna make any gains. Like, it just starts spiraling, man. It's so easy to spiral when it comes to mindsets, especially when you've injured yourself or the workout doesn't go intended the way that you wanted it to. But I persevered. I kept going. And I think once we went past the, what do you call it? Oh, the compound, more like compound movements, which is like lunges and that the stiff leg deadlifts slash Romanian deadlifts. Especially when I was doing it off that machine, just the load felt so light, but I could just feel it a little bit in my lower back. So I'm like, all right, let me just go super light and just do that movement, just don't think about training so hard on like strength. Focus on form and focusing on being able to do the movement without any pain. And I was just kind of going through the motions with it just because I was just like, I'm not feeling it in my hamstrings that much, it's whatever. So I ended up doing about 4 sets. And then once we got to leg extensions and hamstring curls, that's when like it felt really good. I'd have to think twice about my lower back. It's not being used in that scenario. So I was actually able to go not super heavy, but just enough weight where the last rep, it burns so much. And I'm like, I don't think I got one more left in me. Like if I really, really tried my hardest, I probably could have gotten one more or like a few more with like some sloppy like pushing sets, but I don't want that sloppy form. I want to hit them perfectly every rep. I want the last rep to look like the first rep. That's my style of training. And once you start to degrade a little bit, I think it's okay to kind of like add that extra momentum. But it'll come to a point where just like you're literally, your legs are dead. It's fatigued. You did everything you can. But people will still just like swing their whole body and just to get it up and count that as actual working sets, which in my opinion, you're just wasting your energy that could be used for another clean set that I think will be more optimal for your leg workout. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. And then what I've noticed too is that, yeah, for any injuries, because again, I get so fixated on wanting to increase the number because the stronger you are, I mean, it's not necessarily true, but it's sort of a correlation because you could be a power lifter who trains a specific movement and you don't really get buff because you're just specializing in that specific movement just to get that weight up. And I've seen small power lifters, big power lifters, they don't look buff, they're just strong. But more so, if you're able to rep hypertrophy and do it strong, like heavy weights, that's where you can start to correlate like, okay, yeah, my muscles are definitely growing. Like for someone to, let's say we're doing incline dumbbell presses. For someone to do basically 100-pound dumbbell presses and hit them fully controlled, really smooth, no like momentum, usually that guy's buff because he's created so much density and pressure over time, accumulating, hitting volume again and again. The muscle responds by growing, keeps growing and growing, keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where your weights are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So in that sense, yeah, climbing up your weights kind of really shows where your muscles can be. Especially if you're hitting like 8 reps, 8 to 10 reps for 90s or like 100 pounds, right? So I remember when I was training back in 2015, I would say I was at my strongest. 2015. I was at my strongest and I was hitting roughly, the most I've done was 120s and 125s on incline dumbbell presses, and I did about 5 reps. So I was doing pretty good with those. And then I also was doing 110 pounds for 8 on dumbbell presses, and I would say I was a lot more heavier too. I was like around 180-ish. So once I get to that weight, and as I'm consistently training and progressing, tracking my macros, tracking my weights, I already know that I'm capable of getting to that point. It's just the consistency, right? That's all it really is. And I think that's the key ingredient in anything in life is consistency. I think that's like, you hear it everywhere. It's super cliche, but consistency is pretty much the determining factor of how someone is going to get good at something. So, the saying of like, Bruce Lee, he says like, oh, I don't practice 10,000 different kicks. I practice one kick 10,000 times, and that kick will mess you up, right? And there's like another thing that I read a while back. I think it was called by Robert Greene, a book, The Laws of 48 Powers. I can't remember. I don't know if it was that book. Totally forgot, but I remember it talked about how, once you hit that 10,000 hour mark in anything that you do, you've pretty much become advanced and skilled at that thing. So whatever it is that you do, keep doing it and spending a lot of time putting effort. And the reason being is you'll learn and pick up things as you go that works for you. Because now we're in the age of information where you could pretty much, you can get the top workout guideline, the top, classes or whatever for art or like acting or, painting, photographer, whatever it may be. You can sit there and just read it. And I think that's like the big issue with today's generation is we're just reading shit, but we're not applying it, not doing. And that is the boo-boo that we need to get out of, because we feel accomplished when you read something and then you don't really do anything about it. And that's why I kind of stopped reading self-help books, because I would read a lot of them and I'm like, my life is the same. I'm not implementing the things that this book is recommending, and I'm not really gravitating or feeling like I want to do it. But then reading about it, about that guy being successful of removing a habit or like doing a morning routine, like it worked really good for him, but knowing like it worked for them, like that's why the author wrote it. But of course there's people who can resonate and those actually apply, but I feel like a majority of people don't even apply the stuff that they read. It's like mental masturbation, right? You're just like, oh, oh, look, I read about this and it's so deep and like helpful, but then you don't even really do anything about the information, which is kind of, uh, opposite of what it's supposed to do, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, consistency, applying, doing is literally the name of the game. And that's what I'm doing right now with my life. 29 right now, and I've always just watched and sat on the sidelines, always just like, what do I want to do? And always trying to think of the perfect master plan, always trying to like prepare something. But it didn't really get me anywhere. So you just got to do it. And that's when I made a commit. I'm like, you know what? Let me just, because I watched Sulek, I was like, let me just record and post every time I work out. Like, just make that a discipline, make that a habit. That way it creates a sense of duty for myself. And I feel, though it is easy, but I still get the job done. It's like holding that. I'm giving myself brownie points for doing this. Just like, people say, oh, I'm going to do my morning walk. I'm going to make that a habit, or I'm going to journal every day. I'm going to make that a habit. And then a lot of people just fall off because they let life dictate what happens. And I've lived that life for too long. And, and I know a lot of people struggle with that. So I'm hoping that me sharing that I've been struggling with that since I was 18, But it's not like I was a failure and I didn't do shit. It was more of like, I know I wanted more. I know I could do great things. I know I'm capable of being able to create the life that I want. So what am I waiting for? And yeah, until it came to a point where it's like, I think when I hit 22, I hit like a existential crisis in a way, where I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I graduated. I just got a degree just because my parents wanted it. I did video on the side a little bit, and I was working retail, but I was also just having fun. I was still young, hanging out, doing the things that people see as bad, which in hindsight, like partying and hanging out at people's houses and whatnot. But over time it gets old, and I kind of milked that for quite some time, where I'm just like, I'm not doing anything good for myself. Well, I'm not building anything. I'm just cruising, and I want more. And it isn't out of like, I want more because it's like materialism, where I just want stuff just because. It's more of like recognizing my own energy and knowing that I have a lot more to give to the world, and being able to create cool things, whether it's through my art, because again, I'm a videographer and I think I do all right, but I always think I can do better. So yeah, it's interesting, but everyone's on a different timeline. Everyone is, there's people who get it right away when they turn 18 or turn 22 or turn 30 or turn even 40. Like, life's gonna kick you in the butt and make you realize what you need to do in order to change in the right direction. So don't compare my life, other people's lives, with your life. You are literally playing a role-playing game, and you're logging in, and you got to get those experience points. But a lot of people like to just sit in the hometown center and just like talk with friends and play, and they don't want to go to slay the dragon in the dungeon, where you get exponential experience points and you get better, and you unlock new chapters, you unlock new roadmaps. But then some are just like, oh, I keep dying, like this sucks, like I don't want to keep going through this. And so eventually people just stay comfortable and don't want to upgrade. And not to say that it's a bad thing, But in my eyes, I think the point of life is to gain self-mastery and do the best you can with the life that you're given.